I helped out at the cabin site near Del Rio with the Aggie Speleological Society. Volunteering to me is important because it is a way to give back to the community. Serving the community is good because it aids those that cannot physically, economically, or otherwise realistically do it themselves. People do service projects for many different reasons, such as they're required as a class assignment or for other school functions or even look good on your resume. But there are also many that volunteer just to take advantage of the opportunity to give back, not because they are required to or for personal gain, but just to help out others. Last year alone, the Volunteering in America organization recorded that over 60 million Americans volunteered nearly 7.9 billion hours. As you guys know, my social issue is the restoration and conservation of caves and cave sites. As evidence to my membership in the Aggie Speleological Society at A&M, the conditions of these areas are very dear to my heart, which is why I volunteer to help clean up the area around Del Rio. Volunteering is important to the improvement of the community and to the people in it. And as I mentioned before, I helped out at the cabins near Del Rio for my service project. True, Del Rio is very, very far away, but when the opportunity came to go with my club to help out, I jumped on it. Overall, it was just like helping out and cleaning up a park, only a very big park on private property and a lot of dirt and a lot of cacti. And I know just by that description, you guys would totally love to jump on board and do it with me, but it honestly wasn't that bad. If you just watched out where you're going, it wasn't too bad. We actually made a game out of who could jump the farthest over the cacti without landing on them, just for the heck of it, and to have a little fun while working. The service project was hosted by one of the members of the National Speleological Society who contacted my club's president saying that they needed people to help clean up the campsite and fix the trails while they were surveying the new caves. Once everything was in order, we headed out and arrived at camp late in the night. After being woken up at the crack of dawn by the team leader and finally stumbling out of our sleeping bags, everyone was put into teams and given a task to do until lunch. The first day, I was put into the tree branch and debris group, picking up branch piles from all over the woods around the cabin into one big pile near the fire pit to be used later. The tree branches were all over the place, and there were a lot of them, which made it really difficult because they're long and heavy and had bugs all over them that were just disgusting. But luckily, we did get to have gloves to cover our hands to help pick up the branches and to prevent getting splinters in our hands from the prickly branches. And then about halfway through the pickup, one of the girls on our team started getting an allergic reaction to the cedar branches from picking them up and getting the pollen everywhere. Some people had to stop and drive her to the nearest town to go get help because her eyes were swollen shut and her face was all splotchy. Then afterwards, by the time we got through with getting her attention, there was only a little bit left to do back at the campsite that we kind of just finished up all on our own and went on to the next project to do. The next task wasn't as bad as the first, and all we had to do was pick up around the trails and pretty much make them prettier. So a group of us split up by ourselves and grabbed an empty grocery bag and went around to pick up the trash off the sides of the trails, leading from the cabins to the cave entrance. And surprisingly enough, there was not as much trash around as we thought, so that was done pretty quickly. All that was left to do was to mark the trails better for easier hikes to the caves, which pretty much meant that we'd put these little white rocks around the trail so people could see them and it would lead the way better. But we ran out of those little rocks and started having to grab other rocks to make cairns, which are rock sculptures stacked on top of each other at every fork of the trail to show which way to go. And now that I've told you about my experience, I can tell you what I got from it. Everybody has different attitudes towards doing community service. Some love it, some hate it, and some kind of just fall in between. For me, I really enjoyed doing the community service because I got to help out a community that I am passionate about, plus I got to do it with my friends, which was a ton of fun. And yeah, it was work and you had to be outside all day in the hot sun and you were sweaty, but after it was all done, it felt good to help out and clean up the area. And plus helping out a fellow caver was nice too. Unfortunately, this is not a service open to everyone because it was on private property owned by the National Speleological Society, but there are some opportunities to help and volunteer around Texas. There are 15 national parks from the National Park Service site that has opportunities for people to help and volunteer, and then there's about 50 or more than 50 volunteer opportunities around College Station from the volunteer match site, where you can look up whatever area of cause you want to help out with, and it will help you pinpoint just the right one for you. And so to wrap it all up, volunteering is important, and people do it for many different reasons, some of which because they are required to through a class or organization, or to just do it out of the kindness of their heart. And for my service project, I helped clean up and pick up a campsite with my club to help out a fellow caver by picking up branches and cleaning up the paths. And I really liked doing my service project because I was helping out someone who needed it, and it was really fun to do it with other people that had to do it too. And so, yeah, that's it.